Today, we are finishing the 2026 NFL mock draft rounds 2 and 3. Round 1 is already up. We're going to do a quick recap, but it's best to watch it live. Let's jump right into this. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Below my face is my board. It is based on all 22 grades from 2024 and 2025. Guys are still being updated. Players with an asterisk are guys who I ended up ranking higher than what they should have ended up being. So feel free to give me some feedback on that. But if you guys do want to see all 295 of them, and then on top of that, seeing the exact breakdown and exactly what I think of them, feel free to go over to the Patreon, $5 a month. We built an amazing community over there. Thank you guys so much for all that support. And on top of that, there are special videos that are coming out. And again, get to end up voting on some cool stuff. So I would love to be able to give that to you guys. It is, again, $5 a month. It's nothing that I ended up really wanting to charge a ton for, but I wanted to give you guys some special insight there. And we're going to be doing some quick little breakdowns of guys like Malachi Lawrence that didn't make it into my edge video. There's extended positional rankings videos there as well. Let's get into this. So looking at the picks, I'm not going to mention the ones that obviously ended up happening. You can use your eyeballs. I will mention the trades that happened. New England ended up making a trade with the Rams, and the Rams jumped up and jumped over the Bengals to select the top corner of the class, Mansour Delane. Cost a third-round pick, but of course, you will see we ended up making a move as well for the Rams later in the first that got them some draft capital back. But via that trade down, we ended up getting Jordan Tyson for the Patriots. Pretty happy about that. And then pretty much ended up staying chalk. Not a ton of trades so far, but as we approached the early 20s, we ended up having the Rams make that move. And so, funnily enough, the Rams ended up making two moves. Technically, there was a trade right here. The Cardinals ended up trading for right tackle Ozzie Trapilo from the Bears. They have some arrogance there in Chicago, thinking that they could move a career right tackle to left tackle, and it hasn't been working out. So ended up sending him to a team that could actually use him at the position that he should be. Just saying. But continuing on, we ended up having the Rams trade down. And this is our first placeholder. It's not Tyler Van Dyke. I'm not that dumb. I have some dumb moments, but I'm not that dumb. This is Dante Moore, quarterback out of Oregon. Again, PFF. They're supposed to be updating it next week. Thank God. You're going to hear me rip PFF a new one. And I think they've done a shitty job just being completely transparent, because I love the guys over there, amazing dudes. I think they've done a shitty job at making sure that their most interactive customer facing product has been updated. They've done a shitty job at that. So I apologize about that. Again, I will end up doing everything I can. Is why I have my board as well. So you see the guys I really do care about, the guys who I value, and so on. But we ended up having one last trade. The Titans ended up jumping a bunch of teams that I think are going to be targeting more of that firepower, and went KC Concepcion, a wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Let's get right into this, starting out with the number 33 pick for the New Orleans Saints. Yes, I went Big Nuss at number 1. I would love to see Spencer Rattler end up proving himself to be a top-end quarterback, and, we can end up getting past those shenanigans. But when the offensive coordinator is Garrett's dad, some things just line up. So the Saints, I do think they'll be looking at that edge core. Definitely a position they need to continue addressing. The only issue is this range. There are some guys that I just don't really feel are in that early second range. I always love to go Danny Dennis Sutton at this point, but I ended up trading up with the Chiefs for him. And I love Pookie Bear. Malachi Lawrence does not fit the Mickey Loomis build. Like Kenyatta Jackson would, Mateo Uiagalelei would. Neither of them have earned that spot. Let's just be real. Neither of them earned it. Malachi is just a lighter player. And I ended up actually prepping this before this. These are his grades currently. I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys get to see a bit better. But so far through 2 games in the year, again, literally 11 reps versus North Carolina A&T. 31 pass rushing reps, 5 pressures, including a sack, and 2 defensive stops. The only reason his grade is low is because he missed 1 tackle. So, so far, not a reason for me to mark one of my favorite players that I've watched, who I kind of call Dallas Turner-esque. No reason to drop him just yet. But regardless, for the Saints, areas of improvement. You could go after a wide receiver like Denzel Boston right now to have a big, consistent vertical threat is not a bad idea. And especially when you're in a division with someone who I think has some similar skill sets to him in Tetairoa McMillan. I think Tet's a bit more polished as a player, but Denzel Boston so far has shown a lot of versatility, including special teams applications that I really, really love. I don't think the Saints have a reliable option outside of like when Olave is healthy to where I feel comfortable, especially, with the consistency. Love Rashid, but at the same time, I do think there's a new added element with Denzel Boston in this squad. And so I am going to take him there. Again, we're going to see a run on wide receivers here because this is just the perfect range for said wide receivers. The Browns, we'll see how they end up handling their cornerback situation. So far, we've gone Lenore Sellers and Caleb Tiernan. Not a fan of the edge core at the moment. I do think we could try to address the interior of the offensive line even more with CC Maui Goa. Could have honestly done that for the Saints here, but shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't. I would just say for the Browns, areas of improvement, I do think their wide receiver core is one of the weakest, which is why, again, it's like, do we go after Nick Harbor at this point because you have Lenore Sellers? I think you gotta. And he's 6'5", 235, absolute burner. Nick Harbor and Lenoris are both big prime candidates for potentially returning for 2027. Here's the issue with it. 2027, if you're Nick Harbor, you're having even more competition, right? You can guarantee your ass this guy is not going to be a top-end weapon in 2027. You got, hopefully he ends up fixing his hands a little bit, Ryan Williams, and then you have Jeremiah Smith. Those are the two big ones. But on top of that, you have Coleman. You have Wesco. Like, there's just guys who are unbelievably talented. I'm forgetting the kid from Michigan State as well. Like, there are just dudes in this country that are dominating as true sophomores, redshirt freshmen, etc. So if you think it's going to get easier for Nick Harbor, no. Quarterback realm might be, right? 2028 looks like it's going to be the class that has a little bit more moxie to it, whether it's I think JKS from Cal, or the Williams kid, I believe is his last name, from Washington. Like, they're Maryland's quarterback. A lot of very good young talent showing out early. Right now, the 2027 class is not overly crazy. So for Lenoris, it can make some sense. Him, Arch Manning, of course. If you guys have not picked up on it, Arch Manning is not part of this draft class for me, at least for this video. But I'm just saying Nick Harbor, I think, is a higher percentage chance to come out than even Lenoris. And so we'll see what happens there. But cool to end up having that storyline. 35 for the New York Jets. Got John Batir in the first. And again, this is just a team that's built for another wide receiver. I don't like being this guy's like wide receiver, but the talent lines up, the needs line up. It just feels right. So we're going to go after Chris Bell, who is my wide receiver 2 in the class. You want to take a look at him, 6'2", 220 pounds, so far 146 yards and a touchdown on the year. Great after the catch, ends up building up speed really well. Just an all-around really good receiver. At number 36 for the New York Giants, I think this is where we can take a shot on Jermod McCoy. Went Spencer Fano there in the first. Jermod just needs to remain healthy. That's his big question mark right now, coming off that ACL tear. But we're going to go after him. At 37 for the Bills, like, Caleb Banks calls my name a little bit. Again, we got CC Maui-Goa here. And if I'm going to be honest, I'm looking at a team right now, the Dolphins. They're really close. If I'm the Bills, I might try to entice a team to move up just so they can end up jumping the Dolphins for Francis Maui-Goa. Like, honestly, the Bengals have already gone after offensive line with Lamu. But, I mean, I'm trying to see if there's a team I could entice with a good deal to move up. The Jaguars can get ballsy. Technically, the Raiders have just done a horrible job. I mean, should the Bills just go after them at this point? Weird spot to be in, if I'm going to be completely honest. Not many teams. The Bears, honestly, especially with their extra pick they got for their right tackle they tried to convert to left, we could end up going for Maui-Goa, since Jackson, in my opinion, is not the long-term answer at right guard. You could end up having your long-term answer there, and then have someone who can be a swing tackle for a year or two. I'm not really convincing anybody. Technically, actually, the Texans would be a pretty good team to make a move up here because they have some issues. And in the first, I think I went after Isaiah World for them. So I don't think they'll end up doing that. But, ooh, tough spot for the Bills. I really wanted to make a move there. As you guys can see, this is a live episode. But wanted to end up making that happen. Not going to. We're going to end up opting for the linebacker route. That was my plan the whole time. I was going to try to move back, but Kyle Lewis, I love him to death. He's the guy who I'm probably going to put up next, but Anthony Hill is more NFL prototypical size, 6'3", 6'4", 240, super young, super developmental. We'll end up tossing him into the fray. At 38 for the Dolphins, first round went Kenyon Sadiq. Baller. We're going to go CC Mauigoa here. Just continue loading up on offensive firepower. Best player available is never a bad idea. I don't care if he plays tackle. I don't care if he plays guard. The value is right, and you end up taking him there. At 39 for the Carolina Panthers, first round went Caleb Downs. I think that is just the best move that you can make. Kenyon Sadiq, another dark horse candidate for you. Wide receiver, something that I don't think you need to address anymore. Quarterback is not out of the picture. If you want to take somebody to have some competition, I don't disrespect it. Maybe I would do it with my third round pick, though, not this one. Cornerback's been the one that I've targeted very heavily for y'all. And I do want to change it up a little bit because I think it gets a little stale. And I'd probably try to take a shot on somebody with real potential here. Injuries have bugged him down, but this guy has 35-inch arms. It's Caleb Banks. And this is somebody who I was very disappointed with the amount of experience he has as a redshirt senior and how unproductive he is. However, if he ends up getting his health right, this is somebody who has extreme size mismatch, some of the most incredible wins on the defensive interior in the NFL. And so I'm going to roll the dice here for the Panthers and continue loading up on defensive monsters and just go after Caleb Banks. At number 40 for the Las Vegas Raiders. So far, we have gone Peter Woods. Again, a little bit of a reach, I understand. And to be fair, your defense has been doing a pretty damn solid job. Your offensive line needs help, but I just don't think CC would have been the answer. I think just reorganizing your offensive line is where you need to start. Put Jackson Powers Johnson back to center. Number one thing you need to do. I don't understand why we're doing some crazy fucking shuffling. No reason for that. So I'm not a fan of how that's going at all. And to be honest, that's just the biggest issue is how the offensive line is performing. I don't think it's a talent issue. I think it's a distribution issue. I think it's a scheming issue. Like, to be fair, Donald Parham, there's a video of him going out standing straight up in like one of the tackles for loss. Not a fan of that. And honestly, I don't think I'm going to let that slide. We're going to go after Vega Ione here out of Penn State. This dude is a mauler. You want somebody who's going to be a road grader as a run blocker. Also, so far this year against nobodies, he has a 90 pass blocking grade. We're going to go after Vega Ione here, guard out of Penn State. Again, just a wall of dude who just has extreme power. And again, you're continuing to add size to the offensive line group, 330 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. So you got some good dudes there that can end up adding a little bit more grit to the trenches. I think you need to invest in the run game far more now than ever. I just don't know at this point if you can excuse some of the mediocrity. It's not just positioning. I do think you can end up reshuffling the interior a little bit and end up making it a little bit better. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. It's a bit of a stretch for me, but I want to keep things fresh, keep things new, and it's definitely something that I'm going to be looking at. At number 41 for the Patriots, we went Jordan Tyson and added a third round pick. So today is going to be even more exciting for you Patriots fans. Again, I was not going to trade with the Bills to end up getting CC Mauigoa in division. Like, that was the team that was like obvious, like, oh, you could test it out and see how it goes. You could try Xavier Chaplin. Trevor Gooseby has had reps at right and left tackle. This year, he is focusing very heavily on the left, but last year, he also ended up playing reps at right tackle. Definitely going to be one of those names that you might want to develop. However, if I'm the Patriots, man, just try to end up getting somebody who's a little bit higher floor. Like, it's just, I'm tired of the fucking projects. Like, call me old school, call me an unk, call me like a boomer. I'm tired of taking tackles and trying to switch them to different sides. Like, unless you have someone that is so like rock solid, Joe Alt, for example, that they're going to do well regardless, just stop. Like, if guys prove to you that they're a great talent at left tackle, let them be a great left tackle. Don't be greedy. Don't try to be super smart and be like, oh, I feel like I can coach them to play the right side. Coach, it's a different game. It's a different game. You move completely differently. You strike completely differently. You handle the offense completely differently. Stop being arrogant. So I'm not going to be arrogant. Trevor Goose would be my only option because he ended up like playing on both sides. But linebacker as well. We ended up getting Jordan Tyson. We're going to go Whit Weeks. You need a true name on that second level that you can trust. And Whit Weeks, I mean, whether he's selling you insurance or he's selling you sacks, then yeah, this is just a guy you want on your team. This guy is so damn good. He got a 39 grade versus Florida because he got ejected for a targeting call. Feel free to get grouchy about that, but regardless, Whit Weeks, one of the better linebackers in the class, and Witt's somewhere in this range. I don't remember exactly where he is. Oh, I have 2 of Sonny Styles. How cute. That is funny as hell. That's funny. I didn't realize I put him twice. Anyways, number 42 for the Cincinnati Bengals. We have so far gone Caleb Lamu. Again, if we had not done that, CC Mauigoa would have been my prime target. Already went to Miami last year to end up going after an interior offensive line. But secondary, honestly, good position to look at. Edge, I still don't like the value here. Even though I like guys like Llewellyn, love Malachi Lawrence. None of these guys are matching the physical prototype, or the physical archetype, I should say, that the Bengals try to prioritize, which are the Kenyatta Jackson, Mateo Uiagalelei builds, but they like more athleticism than what those two have to offer. Their secondary does need help, and DJ McKinney, AJ Harris are going to be the guys they go after, and they've not been too shy with going after the thinner corners. So we're going to go after DJ McKinney, who dropped to 180 pounds and has been doing a pretty damn solid job overall. Again, ended up having a pretty bad game versus Houston, but Houston's one of those teams that's just a sleeper. You can end up underestimating them. They'll come back and kick you in the balls and kick you in the ass. Like, they're just, it's one of those very underrated teams. I'm like a sleeper Houston fan because it was the first game I saw versus SMU, and that's why I ended up going to SMU. I got to see the game back in, I think it was like 2018. But De'Aaron King was playing. Ed Oliver ended up sitting out. I was so pissed about that. But the whole entire reason I ended up, falling in love with the college I ended up going to is because I had such a good experience while watching Houston, and they also just know how to sneakily have really good talent. So I give some guys a little bit more slack against that. Number 43 for the Falcons. I was a sucker for this one before. I'm going to be a sucker for it again. My second, I was about to say top, but out of the top guys, my top center is Parker Brailsford. And this dude, I mean, he allowed his first hurry of the year versus Wisconsin. Ooh, really reliable. Yes, he's 290, but guess who he played with and ended up almost winning a natty with? Michael Penix Jr. And y'all need some interior offensive line help, especially at the center spot. We're going to go Parker Brailsford there. At 44 for the Indianapolis Colts, we went Fernando Mendoza in the first round. Again, it's a team that I don't really think needs too much, but if Big Dom Orange slides this spot, pull the trigger. I've gone Christian Miller for them in the first. Big Dom Orange slips. Sometimes you just got to take the value. Cowboys so far, Jeremiah Love, Christian Miller, some of the best, like defensive interior 1, running back essentially 1. So you guys are doing great. Still need to look at edge rusher though. This is where I feel comfortable taking the first edge off the board. And in the second round at least, Mateo has the chance to be really awesome. And so far, I mean, even this year, he has 3 sacks already. Granted, it's versus pretty much nobodies, but Mateo is somebody who has a lot of love around the community. Cassius Howell as well, but he just doesn't fit. Again, you're looking at guys 265 plus that the Cowboys have drafted. Being 6'2", 248 doesn't seem to be on par with that. Gabe Akis has not been that good. Again, he's kind of padded his stats versus legitimate nobodies. Like, he has 4 sacks on the year, but we're going to go after Mateo Uiagalelei here for the Cowboys. Again, somebody who I don't necessarily believe in that much, but sometimes you just got to pull the trigger. At 46 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, first round pick, of course, to the Rams. We have a plethora of them in this draft. So we'll be getting well acquainted with each other. We'll see what Trav ends up doing in terms of the split between corner and running back. Like, I do think, especially because I follow quite a few of you Jags fans on Twitter, you guys are not a fan of your corner room. Even with, like, Tyson Campbell appears to be right in the crosshairs of y'all. And a lot of people love AJ Harris, I think more than they should. But at the same time, I understand I have my opinions on players that are extremely outlandish. This is probably one of them. It's pretty much a unanimous favorite of corners. And I love Penn State DBs. I don't know why do people gotta like the DBs I don't like? Like out of Penn State, I'm like, dude, I'm the number one advocate for Penn State DBs. But I will end up taking AJ Harris here. You can go interior offensive line all day, every day. I've done it a billion times. I want to change it up a little bit. We're gonna go AJ Harris here at number 46. For the Seahawks at number 47. Went LZ Overton in round 1. I'm still a sucker for corner here. I know interior offensive line definitely could use the help, but a boundary corner too is just so crucial to me. And Domani Jackson's a baller, 6'1", pretty much 200 pounds. Just really somebody who is one of the few weapons for Alabama that doesn't seem to be a little iffy right now. So let's go Bama to Bama. Domani Jackson, LT Overton to the Seattle Seahawks. No trade so far in the second round, but at the same time, we actually started off with a trade at number 32. So number 48, Chicago Bears. So far, we have ended up trading our star tackle, Ozzy Trupillo, who, I think the organization did a very bad job when it comes to, planning this out. Unless they were planning on getting rid of Darnell Wright, then should not have taken a right tackle, hoping he'd develop at left when there are solid left tackles. Just putting that out there. But Keldrick Falk, already taken. I like that. Again, it fits, what Dennis Allen historically has liked. Wide receiver, you're good. Quarterback, you're good. We could try to do a trade with like DJ Moore or something. I know there's some big rumors about that. Running back just seems right at the moment. And, I think you want to get the speedster. Damon Claiborne the whole entire offensive line got destroyed versus NC State. So we'll have to see where he's going to end up. But this is somebody the first 2 games getting 14 plus yards per carry. Again, versus bums, but that's also a function of the offensive line. This is a player that I want to stick my neck out for. DeMond is my RB1. But maybe let's see if we can end up getting some value out of this for the Bears. Maybe we can end up getting a trade back. Again, you got Jonah Coleman here. Are there teams that are going to be looking for a player like that? Definitely would love for the Texans to go that way, but at the same time, you could end up with Coleman or Singleton. I don't think that there's a big threat for both of them to be gone because it's like a 3 running back cluster. Max Clare has not earned his right. He just hasn't. Defensive interior, like a nose tackle, if there's a team looking for one, not a bad opportunity, but it's just a bit too far for someone like the Chargers. Otherwise, I would be open to it. Very interesting. Well, Xavier Chaplin's here, honestly, for the Bears. I was thinking about going running back. Let's upgrade that left tackle spot. Let's not be arrogant. We got some value from our right tackle that we whiffed on by trying to force him to be a left. Let's just get a high floor left tackle here. Xavier Chaplin. We're going to Auburn twice. Look at that. Bama twice, Auburn twice. Love it. 49 for the Cardinals. Went Mekhi Lemon in round 1. Got some pushback on that. I still personally think that Mekhi would end up operating a little bit better than what the critics of that would end up trying to bring up. But I respect it. Still love y'all to death. Linebacker, you guys know me. I'm a sucker for a good linebacker play. And you can talk about Perkins in here to add some pass rush, but Kyle Lewis is my dog. I know he's a little bit on the undersized side, like 6'1", 220, but he is my linebacker 1. Go and watch him. This guy is a game changer, and I think he'd be amazing for Arizona. And you could even use him in certain sets, essentially as a box safety. This guy plays everywhere. He lights it up. He's just a player that you want on your team. At 50 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Drew Aller went in the first. To go Nick Singleton here. Why not? But in all seriousness, if we end up seeing Xavier Chaplin here, I would have taken him. Caden Proctor has pissed me off to a level that I cannot fathom. So I'm not going to be doing that. Tomas Remak, I love him to death. Problem is, just not a tackle. I so far haven't seen it. One thing, actually, I do want to check out with Remak, and we could check this out together. He played the last game at left tackle because these dumbasses at Virginia Tech, again, all love to him because I really like, Mike Vick and everything got me really into VT. They put a left guard from last year at right tackle versus probably one of the top 5 picks in the 2027 NFL draft in Dylan Stewart. You're just asking for him to die, essentially. So I will just say that I am so glad he's going at left tackle. And versus Old Dominion, they're not the worst team on planet Earth. And it looks like he did a good job. So, really happy seeing that. Maybe there's some hope of him at left tackle. And then if there is, maybe I'll reevaluate the Steelers at 50. But for the time being, wide receivers not off the board. And there's some very good players here, like Branch, Bernard, Roberts, Fields, really good players. Williams, obviously, Singleton, Jacoby Lane, Elijah Surratt, even Bryce Lane. Bryce Lane's a damn good player. I do know there's somebody who has him as like wide receiver 1. I haven't seen North Dakota State all 22. I don't make my opinions based on game tape. I will just say what I saw, I did like. I did not get that vibe, but I will say for the Steelers, getting a long-term wide receiver 2 is a good idea. If Antonio Williams comes back healthy, this is going to be a good opportunity for him to like make a big impact. To be fair, there is a player that is not listed. PFF, you guys need to put him in there. I even added y'all. Y'all need to do it. And I just wanted to see, maybe they added him in. They did not. My number 37 player in the draft, C.J. Daniels, wide receiver out of Miami. By the way, it does jump. So technically it's number 36. I don't know what happened to 32. Somebody disappeared. So I'm slightly off on that. But number 36/37 on your screen player, C.J. Daniels out of Miami. Dude's been balling out. And you got Drew Aller here. I do want to get him more and more firepower. So we're going to have Vinny Anthony be the placeholder. He's done a fantastic job returning, by the way. I know my Cardinals fans have talked about getting some returning talent. Definitely somebody on day 3 to do. But Vinny Anthony, the placeholder for my number 37, technically 36 player, C.J. Daniels, wide receiver out of the U. 51 for the Vikings, Dylan Thieneman, round 1. I always go for a big nose tackle for him here. I want to change it up a little bit. We're going to go Malik Muhammad. I know that we should probably go a little bit more for what they historically have gone after recently with like D'Angelo Pawns, and I love Velcro Pawns, but I always let Malik Muhammad slip a little too far. So we're going to go after him, cornerback of boundary corner out of Texas. 52 for the Texans, Isaiah World in round number 1. I was talking about it before. It's Nick Singleton or Jonah Coleman here in terms of just being a down-by-down back. I don't understand how people like Nick Singleton to that degree. I'm just going to be real. Look at that. 4.4 yards per carry on average in college is not good. It's just not. But here's the biggest kicker. This is versus Nevada, FIU, and Vanderbilt. This is 41 attempts. Yikes. That's all I'll say. I've been very against Nick Singleton. And again, I love Penn State. It's like my favorite team. Like the thing is, I'm an Ohio State fan because my family alumni are from Ohio State. SMU because I'm an alumnus of an SMU. But I will say Jonah Coleman has been far superior. So we're going to go Jonah Coleman. 53. But I ended up adopting essentially the Nittany Lions when I ended up falling in love with Micah Parsons and then ended up falling in love with Joey Porter Jr. They're just, Penn State is just so sick. And then, you know, like the, we are Penn State. So fucking sick. Like best chant ever. So also the whiteout games, like there's just, Penn State is fucking badass. If they weren't in bumfuck Egypt, like I would end up going there. Like 10 out of 10 times. I would love it. It's an amazing place. 53 though, Buccaneers. Went David Bailey in the first. Love it. I've gone after wide receiver before to get kind of like that bigger build. Like Jacoby Lane would be fun to develop. I think he should return for 2027. That's a hot take, but you know, I do think he should return for 2027 and end up trying to develop a little bit more. I will say, not going to go after one of those. It does suck seeing a season-ending injury to the right guard, if I'm not mistaken, like Cody Mauch. You could end up trying to end up getting something more long-term, someone like Josh Braun, who has just like an extremely high floor. I'm not going to do that. I instead are going to go after a tight end and say it with me. You ready for a placeholder? Because PFF is not putting this guy on here. It is one of my favorite players in the entire draft. I love Miles Kitselman, but number 49 on my board, Eli Raridan, tight end out of Notre Dame. I was a huge fan of him coming into the year. We're going to let Luke Hodge end up being the player who is the placeholder for him, but number 49 player, Eli Raridan, he's been utilized so much more. And I mean so much more. You know what? We're going to do this live. We're going to do it live. Eli Raritan. You guys can end up seeing this for yourself. Obviously, not looking at the defensive side. But, I mean, look at this. 97 and 85 yards in 2 different games. Miami and Texas A&M. These aren't slouch teams, all right? I don't like the fact that he dropped 2 balls in week 1. That got me pretty grouchy. Just going to be honest. But he hasn't dropped a single pass before that one game outside of one time. One drop. I mean, granted, he's really small sample size, but I ended up putting my nuts on the table once again for a tight end from Notre Dame because I ended up loving Mitchell Evans coming into last year, not valuing his season-ending leg injury. But this is somebody I'm really happy to have just gone home run for because he looks like someone who deserves it. So this is going to be Eli Raritan, number 49 on my board. And number 54, by the way, if you guys are wondering about DJ Harvey, he is also somebody who should be starred. I have not starred the players in yellow, only the players in green. 54 for the Denver Broncos, first round, ended up going Carnell Tate. Oof, love that. Here we could go Claire because I do think talent-wise he is so much better than what he has done. But you're just not going in round 2 if you're not producing. Hate to break it to you. Hate to break it. Interior offensive line, I've heard a lot of chatter about you guys like really wanting to upgrade the interior of the offensive line. And I'm here with y'all. I'm looking at Josh Thompson right now out of LSU. I don't know what PFF is doing in terms of their grading on the blocking side. I know that for Josh, he was really good at Northwestern as a run blocker. Perfectly fine. As a pass blocker, he has gone up against some pretty tough competition like Clemson and Florida and has walked out with only 1 pressure, allowing us pretty much an 80 pass blocking grade. So I'm going to show him a bit more love here, and we're going to put him on the interior of the offensive line. I don't know why he's not being talked about more. 6'5", 315, really, really solid player. Just somebody who deserves a much bigger spotlight, and I'm happy to give it to him. 55 for the Houston Texans, Isaiah World, Jonah Coleman. Good place to be. Good place. Defensively, I think we do want to start trying to target some of the edge or some of the interior defensive linemen. And again, there are players that I wish were listed in here. One of them, Cole Brevard out of Texas, like dude's an absolute plug. But I know you guys like to go right down the road. The problem is Zane Durant has not been good this year. That's so disheartening to me. I really want him to be more. Granted, I was like kind of grouped in with the people who didn't like him, but not a fan of that. And honestly, we do have a trades mock draft here. So we're going to have a team try to move up maybe for Nick Singleton if they can. I mean, we still have firepower on the board. We have Antonio Williams on the board. And you know what? The Rams, I think right now, I would just go Antonio Williams and just call it a day. So we're going to see, is there a team that might want to go after Antonio Williams? I mean, I'm like always looking at the Ravens to try to make some awesome moves here. And I know that they end up needing a guard more than anything on planet Earth. Like Josh Braun, I think he's just going to fall to him. That's such a Ravens thing to do. Just like sit, wait, and end up getting an absolute freak show. Nick Singleton, I want to have a team end up moving up for him, but I just can't. He hasn't played like it this year. Nose tackle wise, I just don't see a team trying to jump the Niners, the Chargers. Because again, Poona Ford, gone. Kaput. Zaki Wheatley, though, another really good player. The problem with the Texans is that I just think those are the 2 primary areas of concern. We're going to go interior offensive line with them. You know what? We're giving a middle finger to the team that I ended up just saying, oh, we're going to sit here and end up getting a really good player. Oh, interesting. Waylon is over there. But we're going to end up going and targeting. Where the hell did I put him? Josh Braun, guard out of Kentucky. We're just going to rehaul the offensive line. Graduate, so he's older, but this dude is just, I mean, I don't know how he let up 2 sacks. That's kind of crazy, if we're going to be honest. But, you know, one of the higher floor players. The thing that I like, though, is that you're only seeing 2 sacks, which could end up just being some fluke plays. We'll have to dig into the tape on that, but going guard to guard back in the second. 56 for the Rams, Mansour Delane, and not Tyler Van Dyke. Had to show some love to my SMU Mustangs. Dante Moore, quarterback out of Oregon. And you know what? At this point, we're going to go Antonio Williams. We're going to sit, pick, and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Really good deep threat there for the Rams. 57 for the Los Angeles Chargers. I was hinting at it before. I want to get some beef on the interior. And there's a lot of good nose plugs here. Tim Keenan, I think, would be the best when healthy. Darrell Jackson, though, seems to be the most popular. So we'll see about that. We'll go after Darrell Jackson. At 58 for the San Francisco 49ers, went after Lee Hunter, my favorite defensive interior in the draft. And here you just got to go Caden Proctor. I think that he's had such a piss poor year. Has some really good blocking reps. I will say I like to rip Caden Proctor a new one. He's had some good reps in there. And I don't think he gets enough love for that. I'll just rip him a new one because it's funny. And if I'm going to be honest, he deserves it. People thought of him as like a number 1 overall player. And it's like, just shut up. I mean, I put him in the first of my mock drafts, but when I watched him and like actually sat down to look at all of his reps, I'm like, maybe not. So we're going to go Caden Proctor here. Because again, the ceiling is there. And this is a team that desperately needs to invest in their future, and this guy needs time to develop. At number 59 for the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions. I love when I can end up just rolling the D in that one. But, for them, center is key. We've gone Sonny Styles so far. You could talk about Jake Slaughter. I'm just not a big Jake Slaughter guy. That's just me. But he has done a good enough job versus these Shark people. I don't even know what school that is. But I'm actually going to go after Lyndon Cooper, center out of Pitt. My number 14 player in the class. I have him as a stock down player. We're going to go Davion Carter as the placeholder, by the way. Really good interior offensive lineman, but he's not going on day 2. He's sub 300 pounds. Lyndon Cooper out of Pitt. I have him marked for like drop, but I have watched Pitt. This guy has never been a problem that I've seen. So far, pretty happy. Chiefs, you guys know me. I love going to the same schools as Damon Claiborne or Nick Singleton. Nick Singleton seems to be the guy with a little bit more hype. So we'll go Nick Singleton, even though I think he's been extremely unimpressive. 61, we have the Eagles going Keith Abney in the first. And, damn, you guys have a good amount of picks too. Really good spot to be in. I do know that a lot of your picks have kind of just ended up being like placeholders on your roster. Would have been cool to have Caden Proctor there. Not going to happen. Trevor Gooseby is going to be the player that I target here. Again, he's super young, probably won't declare, but maybe if Stout U is like, I promise you're taken in the top 64. He did play games at right tackle last year, and this is someone who should be the long-term replacement for Lane Johnson. I'm not a fan of the idea that you can end up like continuing to throw shit at a wall and see what sticks, because you're trying that with a lot of players like Cam Williams, who Trevor Gooseby played those right tackle games in replace of when he was hurt. But I do understand at the same time that you need to continue trying when you have that big of a loss that's looming. You need to try your best. You cannot accept mediocrity at that refill. At number 62 for the Ravens, I talked about going on interior offensive line, Avion Terrell in round number 1. Looking at the players who should be able to fill that, you could talk about Jennings Dunker here. People have a hard on for the guy. It is what it is. I don't think of him as, he's for some reason the stat padder. That's my honest opinion. I think he pads his stats way too much, has it pretty easy. But again, I'm excited to be wrong about that. But I'm going to look at Caden Green here. Guard/tackle out of Missouri. Again, he's getting better every week, but he is somebody who is like kind of already unimpressive as a foot speed as a guard. I'm going to end up showing him the love here. So I can end up using him as a guard or a tackle in case of a pinch. 63, Green Bay Packers, first round pick, Micah Parsons. Here in the second, not really much wrong with this team. You could try to continue investing in the wide receiver core. Jacoby Lane, not a bad idea to end up getting someone who is tall and has that deep threat ability. Honestly, it kind of feels like a Packers wide receiver too. We're going to go Jacoby Lane, wide receiver out of USC. 64 for the Buffalo Bills went Anthony Hill in the first. Here in the second, it's going to be either a plug or else we're going to go after some dynamic deep threats here. Eric Singleton definitely is somebody who I want to give that type of respect to, but Zachariah Branch has the returning ability as well. People are always saying like, oh, he's not good at the receiver stuff. He's honestly been fine at the receiver stuff. And I was one of his bigger critics coming into the year. We're going to go after Zachariah Branch at number 64 and essentially get your own kind of Xavier Worthy. 65 for the New Orleans Saints. Ended up going after wide receiver and a quarterback so far. We are not neglecting the edge core anymore. And I'm going to go after somebody who's going to fit the Mickey Loomis edge build, and that's going to be Kenyatta Jackson Jr. 66 for the Cleveland Browns. Went Lenore Sellers, Caleb Tierman, Nick Harbor. Crazy lineup. I'm going to look at a corner here as somebody who could flex into the slot or play on the boundary, and someone who's mean and plays in cold climates. We're going to go D'Angelo Velcro Pons. Plays as a boundary corner. He is small, but he is someone who is nasty. 5'9", 173. One of the most vaunted corners in the whole country. You just need to find a way to make him work, and he's going to do some magic. Eagles, Keith Abney, Trevor Gooseby. And I'm going to go after one of my favorite tight ends in the entire draft. I'm going to show love to Miles Kitselman, tight end out of Tennessee. 6'5", 255, the best blocking tight end in the entire class. Just somebody who, I mean, again, part of the job of a tight end is the block. Stop underrating it. We're going to get ourselves our mini, I mean very much mini, Tyler Warren there with Miles Kitselman. Also a really good route runner. Very underrated player. 68 for the Houston Texans. Yes, we're seeing Cade Klubnik slip a bit, but so far we got our top end guard, running back, and tackle. Feel pretty comfortable about that. We're going to go to the defensive interior, and I'm actually going to go after somebody who is not a nose plug, DeMonte Capehart. I mean, he's a little bit on the older side, but pocket buster, very nasty player. Even though he has a low pass rush win rate, he is somebody who consistently affects the play, and that's something that you kind of want in the third round, is just somebody to be a little bit more enforceful. At number 69, Titans ended up trading up and selecting Casey Concepcion. In first round, they also ended up going Ruben Bain. So really happy about that balance between offense and defense as well. Running back's not a bad position to go with DeMonte Capehart on the board. I know that it's not like a super popular one, but I do believe also offensive guard. We'll see if the Sac State kid ends up holding up, but going after someone like Charles Jagasaw, he's not going to come out. I don't know why I'm even trying to include him, but I really like the guy. I really do. But right now, being able to try and probably try to put in, whether it's Drew Shelton, Tomas Remark, one of these tackles to guard Austin Barber, that actually might not be a bad idea. But for the Titans, let's end up trying to figure this one out. Defensive back wise, I think they're doing perfectly fine. Defensive interior, I think you're doing fine. You could try to double up at edge. Linebacker is not a bad time to look at one. And if you honestly want to, Harold Parkins would be a really intriguing option to see if he can add weight. Honestly, I kind of just want to make a move out of here. I don't feel very comfortable. You have Cade Klubnik available, and with the Panthers sitting here, I do think that there are going to be some quarterbacks that fly off the board. I'm actually making a small move up with the Panthers because I think that Cade Klubnik would go at pick 70. So that's my reasoning. We'll end up making a small move up here. We'll go 185 for 218. There you go. We're going to push it through. Panthers end up making a super small move up and go after Cade Klubnik, quarterback out of Clemson. Just end up solving the problem right there. Get a tester, see what happens. Dolphins end up going CeCe Maui-Goa. We're going to go Carson Beck, quarterback out of Miami. Just got to continue throwing some stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks, especially at that position. At number 71, though, for the Titans, ended up, being able to reset, end up seeing the field. And, I will say Casey Concepcion makes me feel a lot more comfortable about the state of this receiving core. Again, I also know this is very, very much out of order because PFF has not ended up doing a good job and making sure their stuff is up to date. But, honestly, I might just go another edge rusher here to complement what they have. I don't think that's very fair. Cassius Howell is also available. I might end up just double trading down. If I'm being real, the Raiders are lurking. I'm going to have a team trade up for Cassius Howell here. And it might be the Patriots. Patriots traded down before. I want to double check that the Patriots did not draft one. They drafted a linebacker in Whit Weeks. We're going to trade up with the Patriots. Titans are just sitting there value ain't good. Team calls up. Okay, sounds good to me. So the Patriots are going to be moving up here, and they have so much draft capital too. We'll end up tossing in a 214 or 187 for 245. It's the exact same trade that just ended up happening, but you can end up adjusting that however much you like. Okay. I'm not going to focus too much of our time on that. We're going to go after Cassius Howell, edge rusher out of Texas A&M for the Patriots. So very heavy defensive draft in day 2 there for the Patriots, but definitely worth it. At number 72 for the Raiders, again, another team that should be looking at some edge talent, defensive interior guard so far. Joshua Josephs would be really intriguing. I don't know if he fits the size profile. Mikhail Kamara definitely feels like a Raider. I don't know why it has the intangibles there, but I mean, we fixed the interior of the offensive line, hopefully. Receiving wise, you guys are great. Quarterback, I just don't really see it. Like Sawyer Robertson would be intriguing, but again, you're having to give up in order to like take him. I'm not a huge fan of that. So it is weird. I don't understand why your offense is not working. Maybe just fire Chip Kelly at this point. It's a crazy thing to say, but it's just like, do it. I'm going to go after best player available. Josh Josephs is an absolute monster. He is undersized, but has 34.5-inch arms. We're going to rock it. We're going to see what happens, and we're going to deal with it. Tennessee Titans at number 73. Again, Ruben Bain, KC Concepcion. I'm actually going to go after guard because, being able to get some competition there, definitely worth it. You end up spending, I think, a 5th-round pick on your future at guard. And we're going to go after Tomas Remak here. Also has that tackle flexibility. But I just think at the moment, we're talking about him a little bit more as a guard. Tomas Remak out of Virginia Tech. At number 74, Cincinnati Bengals, Caleb Lamu, DJ McKinney. I'm really happy with how that ended up turning out. I do think you can end up continuing to go on the interior of the offensive line. But we need to get somebody of size in the edge core. Gabe Akis so far, 4 sacks on the year, granted versus some bums. They are going to like the measurables, I think, for him. That's why I'm a little bit worried. Like Akeem Mesidor just feels like the right answer to me, and just like try to see if Miles Murphy can make it. Oh, it's just such an easy cop out. And I honestly want to utilize it. I'm not going to, because I also don't think that's fair. So looking at other ways we can improve the team, let's just go like revamp mode. Lamu's playing tackle. Something's just not clicking on the offensive line. Just point blank, it's not. So for me, next best guards. Ooh, I actually like this idea. We do have Austin Barber still on the board, who I do think would be a guard. But this is a player that more people are coming around to as a guard. It's Drew Shelton, left tackle out of Penn State. I just think his issues just translate so much better to guard. So we're going to end up taking him there. And honestly, has a pretty similar skill set as Fairchild if they end up playing on the inside. 75 for the Falcons, Parker Brailsford in round 1. Need to start looking at that long-term corner 2. And I'm going to go and trust in the development of Davison Igbinosun. He's a little physical, gets penalties, but the ceiling is there. 76, Indianapolis Colts, Fernando Mendoza, Dom, big citrus, orange. Good place to be. Good place to be. Solid wide receiver core, pretty much everything looking good. We're going to go to the linebacking core and get a thumper in CJ Allen. I don't think he's that great of a linebacker. Just all truth told, I didn't like his game that much last year, but this dude brings the heat. He is a enforcer. He's an enforcer. Steelers, Vinny Anthony in round 2. Just kidding. I have it as C.J. Daniels, wide receiver out of Miami in round 2, and a Drew Aller. We need to focus on the defense, and Igbinosun would have been incredible. He is not here, and that hurts because I really like him. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. By the way, let's look at Walter Football and those fuck-ass people. Look at this. 109 yards, a touchdown, 70% completion percentage. Unbelievable. This is the guy that they're straight up like glazing as a first-round player. I will do everything in my power to end up knocking Walter Football to the ground. I cannot stand them. But I just don't think there's really good value there, except for at safety, where you can go after Zaki Wheatley here, who's just a really good talent. I'm going to end up opting for Zaki Wheatley. We'll see if Jabril Peppers ends up balling out. But for the time being, I think ending up addressing some of our defensive back woes is a smart idea. 78 for the Jaguars. Have taken AJ Harris. Speaking of defensive back woes, we're going to go after Austin Barber here, tackle / interior offensive lineman out of Florida. Just been doing a great job in terms of just the overall performance. To me, I still think that his talent was really, really put on display, or at least the issues with it, versus Tennessee last year. And it's like, you just can't have a game like that and really expect to be a top end offensive lineman in the NFL. That's just my opinion. 79, Seahawks. Linebacker's not a bad idea. Should we just go Deontay Lawson at this point? No. Lawson down at 218 pounds scares the crap out of me. However, Harold Perkins is a fun idea. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I do think we should try to invest in the interior offensive line, but I've done that so much that it's like, Harold Perkins is the best value. And I'm just going to continue giving chess pieces that you can use as an edge rusher, use as a linebacker. I just love Mike McDonald, and I just want to give him the opportunity to utilize super weapons. That's just my thing. Bears have back-to-back picks here, and we've gone after Xavier Chaplin and Keldrick Falk. The guy who I was looking at there in round 2 is still available, Damon Claiborne, running back out of Wake Forest. My RB1, but again, ended up having a struggle week this past week. It's looking like it's a pretty tough running back class, so definitely something we need to worry about. Corner is the other position for the Bears, and Dalen Everett's here, so we're going to take him. The Bears ended up coming out with a pretty damn good class here. I'm really happy with how that all turned out. At 82, we're back with the Steelers. Again, with Zaki Wheatley. We've gone after Drew Aller as well as CJ Daniels, wide receiver out of Miami, there at pick 50. So looking at other areas where we can improve, offensive tackle for sure. The problem is I just don't think there's really the offensive tackle. There is one. He's a right tackle, and I feel like a dick when we actually have some momentum at right tackle, taking Alex Harkey. Love Alex Harkey, by the way. I mean, he's literally sitting here at number 46 on my board. He's older, but I mean, the dude's just savage. Savage offensive tackle. If I'm being honest, I might try to make a move here with the team that could be looking to upgrade that right tackle spot. And we're playing them this week. It would be kind of crazy to go and make a deal with the Patriots to give them their tackle, but the Patriots aren't the rival of the Steelers anymore. That was back when we had been, like, it's really quarterback battles that you need to focus on. And especially because the Dolphins could continue ending up trying to like throw stuff at a wall and see what sticks. We're going to end up making this move with the Patriots. So feel free to, make the moves as you wish. We're going to give 109 as part of this deal and end up moving pick 157 to get that gap there. I think that's fair. Again, 6 spots. You end up pretty much moving up 50 spots. You can say it's a steal. You can say it's bad. I don't care. We're going to go Alex Harkey, tackle out of Oregon. Right tackle out of Oregon, I should say. At number 83, Minnesota Vikings. Ended up going Dylan Thieneman, Malik Muhammad so far. We're just going to continue plugging up the middle. Speaking of, guy who I looked at in the last round, but he's been hurt, so I think this is a more realistic range. Tim Keenan. We're just going full defense. JJ McCarthy. Earn your money, bro. The defense is going to be so stacked. You need someone to be a true nose tackle and plug the middle. 84, Dolphins, Sadiq, CeCe Mauigoa, Carson Beck, all offense is one of the weakest defenses in the NFL. That being said, you just went after players that are going to help you the best. That's how you end up handling things. I'm looking at Chandler Rivers here, and he might end up being a nickel, 5'10", 185, but he is super smart and has been very, very reliable there for Duke. So, Will Lee's another one, but he's had a bad year. Really bad. People have had Will Lee in their top 5, top 10. I'm like, I had an issue with that, but Chandler Rivers is going to be the choice here. Just get a good quality defensive back and see where he fits. 85 for the Buccaneers went Eli Raridan, tight end out of Notre Dame at 53, and David Bailey so far. We're going to go after a linebacker at this point. People love Terrain York. I'm not there personally. I just don't think he's that great. I'm looking between Bryce Betcher and Scooby Williams. Scooby's been very, very good. I don't know why people haven't hyped up Scooby. It's all about Terrain York. Bryce Betcher ended up having a pick 6, though. Part of me wants to reward him for that. None of this is really screaming to me that you need to take it here on day 2, but I will say definitely keep that open as a good position to target. Wide receiver, honestly, at this point, Elijah Surratt is a really good longer-term replacement for Mike Evans in terms of the contested catch, even though this year he's been okay. Dude's electric. We're going to go after Elijah Surratt. At number 86 for the Broncos, we've gone after Carnell Tate and Josh Thompson. Need to focus on the defensive side, and we're going to go with the defensive interior. We're going to take a shot on Zane Durant because the legitimate ceiling of someone who is that explosive with the ability to push the pocket is ludicrous. 87, Washington Commanders, TJ Parker in the first round. Going to be honest. kind of feels a little bad, but that's okay. The edge core is what it is. Um, you know, what's the best move for this team? Linebacker, I don't even like the linebackers available. Like, I mean, wide receiver and running back, to be fair. Running back, you could try to go after somebody. I will say the running back class is not good. It's not. Shout out to my boy Jaheim White. He's out for the year. But I think going after wide receiver at this point is the right thing to do. Let's get Eric Singleton and end up getting some juice. Deion Burks, very strong honorable mention. At 88 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we went Aller, Wheatley, and also CJ Daniels. Very happy with that trio. Let's see. How do we want to handle this? Like, there's somebody who, I mean, I think the Steelers could go after another edge at this point with like Highsmith and all that. Just not like the health has just not been consistent. I definitely think edge is not out of the question for the Steelers to just continue getting younger, continue getting more talented. Again, we've gone after receiver, defensive back, and quarterback. I do think we need to look at offensive line a little bit. I just know dunker is just our style of guy, and it pisses me off because I'm not a dunker guy. Just me. I understand perfectly fine if you disagree. I respect it, but it's just like, ugh, not many good offensive linemen in the country. It really isn't. I love Jagasaw. The dude's not playing. So it's like, I wanted to end up giving him some love. Shout out to Caden McDonald too. Monster player. Like I was trying to see, and again, this is also based on 2024 tape, not necessarily all these guys on 2025. I want to see if there's somebody there. Oh yeah, they have John Keys Hardaway. Forgot about him. I mean, this dude ended up having a good week 1 and a bad week 2. Definitely a name I want to throw in the hat. I haven't seen him on here, but I'll show you guys it because out of respect and out of love, we'll just do it because if you're in this far into the video, you don't give a shit if I look up something. 6'3", 193. All right. He ended up having an interception week 1. Not a fan of him allowing, 57 yards back-to-back weeks, but guy is an enforcer. He's physical. I'm going to end up showing him that love. John Keys Hardaway is going to be the selection, and we'll use Sire Wright as the placeholder, but we're going to be going after John Keys Hardaway, cornerback out of Kentucky. At number 89, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. They've gone Lou and Jackson so far. We're going to go after tight end. We're going to take it. We're going to test it out with Max Clare. He's been very underwhelming this year, but it's worth the shot. At 90 for the Niners, we've gone trenches. Lee Hunter, Caden Proctor. Jennings Dunker would be fun, but not going to do that. I do think you could try to target that corner spot now. Linebacker, I'm hoping that you guys kind of have that solved. Xavier Scott's he's a weird one. He's a weird one. People just love him, and they want to use him like a Swiss Army knife. This is not the team necessarily for that. Tack Davis, don't really think this is the team for him either. He's a big dude. He's looking good with his former DC or former head coach as well. But, honestly, the Niners are in such a weird spot. We're going to go tight end as well. And I don't know if you guys can hear that. These dumbasses are having a race on the freeway. It is what it is. But Endry is going to be the guy who I target here. Really good after the catch. Just a solid tight end there from Texas. At 91 for the Jaguars, AJ Harris, Austin Barber. We need to get some type of receiving presence, and I really love Deion Burks. But we're going to go after Jeremy Bernard, just rock-solid wide receiver out of Alabama. Just the dream day 2 pick. He's just so reliable, and that's just kind of what you want. I mean, it's what I want. Let me know if it's what you want. 92 for the Chiefs. They're a dark horse team for a receiver as well, by the way. Danny Dennis-Sutton as well as Nick Singleton. I just think they're going to go after an edge. It just feels right. And Gabe Akis is a Spags type of edge rusher. We're going to go with it. Eagles at 93. I do think they're going to continue throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. Abney, Gooseby, Kitzelman, the positions they need to go after. Now it's a luxury. Defensive interior, one of them. Looking at the guys who are available, I will say, not super duper hyped up about it. Brandon Cleveland has not been good enough this year. Really, really disappointing, as a matter of fact. And, there's another guy that I wanted to end up looking for us. I think his name's Bryson Eason or something like that. Oh, come on. You cannot make me have to go through all this list here. But, let's just look for Eason over here. Because I want to look at Bryson Eason. It is Bryson. The hell, man. Bryson. The hell. Looking at Bryson, 6'3", 315. Honestly, 3 pressures on 94 reps. That's bad. Damn, Eason. The fuck? Look how many years he played too. This man old as hell and he ain't even producing. What a bum class. And then like the other one I was gonna mention, because Jordan Davis has been doing too well. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to keep him there, but Caden McDonald at Ohio State, dog. And honestly, they haven't played much. That's a guy I'm gonna go after. Caden McDonald, defensive interior out of Ohio State. So we'll end up allowing Guillory to be the placeholder there for the Eagles. That's the guy I'm going to go after. 94 for the Ravens. I'm going to go after best player available. That's Malachi Lawrence. Took me a while to get there, but we'll go Ben Bell as the placeholder because I think he's really good. By number 5 player in the class, Malachi Lawrence, Pookie Bear. He's done a good job so far. 5 pressures on 30 pass rushing reps. 95 for the Green Bay Packers. You know, so far, Jacoby Lane, they've been making it really work well with smaller defensive backs. I'm going to say they're going to continue. We're going to go Xavier Scott, who plays on the boundary and in the slot. Dude's just reliable, and that's just what the Packers do. 96 for the Bills. We need to go after defensive back for them as well. Kamari Ramsey is a dog. Big hitter as well. We're just going to plug and play. I mean, so far, Anthony Hill, Zachariah Branch, Kamari Ramsey, call it a day. Jaguars, again, A.J. Harris, Jeremy Bernard, Austin Barber. Kind of really like that class too. I'm not going to go running back. I actually like the guys they have in the works right now. Like we did go after, okay, at least we went after corner for him. I might go at just for some good edge depth at this point and like look at guys like Max Llewellyn. Like it doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. We'll look at tight end. And Eli Stowers is a gadget weapon. Not bad. Let's do it. One of the best players in the country, just again, undersized. We're talking about the NFL, not college here. So far, we've gone like pretty heavy. John Keese Hardaway, cornerback out of Kentucky. Zaki Wheatley, CJ Daniels out of Miami, wide receiver, and then Drew Allard, quarterback out of Penn State for the Steelers. We are going to look at the offensive line, and we're going to go Jennings Dunker, on the interior and just end up seeing where he works. He just fits too well. I don't like it, but it doesn't matter what I like. At 99 for the Vikings, if I were to stick and pick, because I'm going to trade out of this spot, I just don't like it. Like, I would end up going after a wide receiver 3. You talk about Deion Burks here, Jaden Greathouse, and I think that's the reason why I would trade out a lot of very good receiving talent. I want a team to move up for Sawyer Robertson. And, like, let's see the teams that should be willing to do this. The Browns already went after their quarterback. The Jets already went after theirs. The Giants, I think the Giants would not be a bad choice. Continue trying to invest in that quarterback position. But the Raiders are the one that I think I can end up squeezing a good quarterback out of just randomly. I feel like that's a good spot. And so for that type of range move, I'm going to go with 135 and I'll give back 190 or 174, whichever one you want to do. And so the Vikings and the Raiders trade, and we end up seeing Sawyer Robertson, quarterback out of Baylor, going at the end of the 3rd, leaving the Eagles at pick 100 with Abney, Gooseby, Kitzelman, as well as Caden McDonald out of The Ohio State University. Eagles are sitting in a great spot. I think that they could just try to target a wide receiver right here like Deion Burks, who very similarly is kind of, if I'm not mistaken, he's not too far off in terms of physique wise. Like he's just very well built from Jahan Dotson. But I mean, I would just say like you can end up really getting as much as you want out of this pick if you want to. We ended up not going after an edge rusher for him. They are not afraid of going after smaller armed players. So Max Llewellyn actually would be a pretty solid player too. And he's also in the 260 range. We'll go after Max Llewellyn to end off the draft. So that's going to be the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, showing the support you always do. I always want to show you all the love I can, so I appreciate it when you guys give it back. See you later. Peace.